We got some new Assassin's Creed Shadows info that I did not discuss yet here on the channel, and I got extra info from my interviews. Like, one interesting thing we're now seeing is how viewpoints work in the game. I talked about this before, but we now, instead of getting the drone shot that moves around the character, can only look around the world ourselves and see the familiar question marks in the distance. So while in something like Immortals you could then zoom in to reveal that location, that in fact is not the case here. You can only mark it so you can make your way to it. Like, they want us to move around more and only reveal things that are very close to us. Now, viewpoints are still useful as they are still fast travel points. I do, by the way, wonder if Yasuke is able to climb them as well. You would think so, right? Would suck if we have to switch to Naue each time we see one. Although we do know his leap of faith is not very clean. Now, the spy system will reveal more about the locations in the world, so let's go over that and way more new gameplay. Would of course be awesome if you could leave a like on the video to show your support, and let's go. But first, the sponsor of this video, King Arthur Legends Rise from Kabam, that just dropped a brand new cinematic trailer where we see King Arthur prepared to fight one of the many bosses we can encounter in this RPG made with Unreal Engine 5. This free game will feature a story campaign that reimagines the Arthurian story across 10 chapters with 10 open world style zones that we can explore with side quests, puzzles and treasures, and more is coming post-launch. And while going through the world, you will be gathering and upgrading new party members that will help you fight the many creatures in the turn-based gameplay. And you can pre-register the game right now through this link. You also find it in the video description. This also gives you access to exclusive rewards for a limited time. The game, by the way, has cross-save and cross-play between PC and mobile. So again, check that special link in the video description. Be quick, pre-register for the free rewards, and now let's get back into the video. We got an updated look at the map menu that reveals many interesting things. So we see the scout system in action here. I really think we should temper our expectations for this though. Like, Ubisoft is talking about how we can use our network and send out scouts, but it will very likely be limited to finding NPCs in the world and talking to them. Maybe at the end of a side mission, someone is like, hey, I can be a scout for you as well. And then you get like an extra dot that you see right here. Now, at any point when opening the map, you can dispatch a scout and send out a pulse to reveal objectives in an area. Now, what I noticed is that the moment that they use this feature here, we also see a scout icon appear and a 2 next to it. Likely meaning that new scouts can be found in this area. But yeah, dispatching a scout also reveals things like viewpoints, other points of interest, and new codex orbs, as this is the same icon that we saw in Mirage. And we of course see the Codex tab here as well. Side chance, this system in Shadows works the same as Mirage. So we find these orbs in the world, interact with them, and then maybe get some behind the scenes information with a concept art at certain locations. But also historical information, and this might hint at the fact that there won't be a discovery tour in Shadows, but that they incorporate it into the main game just like they did with Mirage. The discovery tours were kind of fun, but I'm not sure if they were successful enough versus the amount of time that Ubisoft spent on them, so maybe they go for the Mirage approach this time. The scout in this instance is mostly used to reveal the target Naue has to kill, and an interesting element here is that we see level 12 as the recommended level. Because yes, more traditional levels are back in Shadows versus the power level system that we saw in Valhalla, where every skill point you earned meant that you increase your level. We also saw Yasuke fighting a level 30 samurai in the Ubisoft Forward gameplay, and I learned in my interview that we should really pay attention to these levels, because if you go way above your current level, you will encounter enemies with skill levels again. And while in Valhalla you could totally manage against enemies that were way higher level than you, in Odyssey and Origins that wasn't the case, and Shadows will be closer to that. The game director told me that you can take them out, but you have to attack so much and they can do so much damage to you that it's like very high risk, low reward if you manage to take them down, because there's more than one usually. So smarter to turn around and come back to these enemies later once you're stronger. Now there will be scaling like in the previous games so that enemies level with you, but it is more specific specific to the enemies this time. I was told that regular foot soldiers are around your level early in the game, but you will very easily exceed their level, while the samurais we will encounter will always be equal to your level or above you all the way through the game. But it seems that they put a slightly bigger focus on non-combat activities as well, as this new gameplay highlights some other activities we can find in the open world. One is a rhythm mini game that the father of Naue teaches her early on. We can likely find different spots where we can perform this meditation in the different regions. While we see Yasuke on a horse using a bow for the first time, a very long one, and he has to hit different targets, and the more targets he hits, the better the score. Yes, this is basically that activity during the Halloween festival in Valhalla. We actually saw it more recently in the Avatar DLC as well. I hope that in Shadows it will be a bit more challenging, but yeah, it's nothing new. And in older footage we saw the parkour challenges you can do with Naue, so it really seems that even though Ubisoft said that you can play most of the content with either character, that won't be the case for the open world activities. Well, we did see that for the narrative content at least, so I then hope that when you arrive at an open world activity with the wrong character, you can very easily switch to the character you need, so it's seamless and you don't have to manually do it, then travel with that character to the activity again. That would suck. Another thing I'm curious about is if Yasuke will break the ice when trying to cross a frozen lake. I love this part of the new gameplay where we see Naue swim during one season and then almost slip when crossing the same lake during winter. I think Yasuke will be fine, right? But yeah, overall, once again, seeing how one place can look completely different depending on the season is awesome and will help keep the game fresh for a long time, because we will of course be going to the same locations multiple times. Another cool thing they talk about is improvements to the facial animations. I need to see more of it, but the few conversations we saw looked fine, and they talk about how they are rendering every hair strand independently, and this makes these motion capture cutscenes look even better. And yes, they totally look great, but I'm mostly curious about the amount of cutscenes like this we will see. I hope it's a step up from Odyssey, where we only saw a lot of them at the start of the game and then at the end, but the very large middle part only had a handful of these very cool motion capture scenes. Other questions I have after watching this gameplay is regarding this viewpoint footage where we see the 4 D-pad shortcuts. It all lines up with the other gameplay except for the left button shortcut. So in Shadows we can switch between 2 weapons again with the right and the left D-pad, but in this viewpoint example it doesn't look like a weapon icon at all. So I'm really curious what this is, because again, a weapon icon should be in this spot. Looks like a quest marker or something and an arrow down, but your theories are more than welcome in the comments. Another thing is regarding the progression system. Maybe you already heard, but first we would get 5 skill points with the collector's edition, but now they are called 5 mastery points. In Odyssey and Valhalla, skill points were used to unlock abilities, while mastery points was something you would earn at the max level and could then spend on percentage increases. So maybe a system like that is back in Shadows, but I think it's more likely that the mastery points are what the skill points were in the previous games, as we also only see a mastery tab in the new gameplay, while normally it was simply called skills. What we do know is that both Yasuke and Naue have an individual skill tree, but that weapons have their own skill tree as well, and mastery points make a lot of sense for those weapon trees, because you're basically, by using that weapon, are mastering them and are then unlocking abilities like the rush assassination with the Kusarigama and the assassination through the Soji door with Naue's katana. So maybe skill points are used for the character skill tree and mastery points for the weapons, or mastery points are simply used for both. Your theories are of course more than welcome in the comments down below, and of course subscribe for everything Assassin's Creed Shadows. Check out King Arthur via the link in the pinned comment. A like on the video would really help me out, and you can watch our previous video with way more Assassin's Creed Shadows info by clicking on the screen. I will speak to you soon. Goodbye.